Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be checking out and discussing the Tesla Model 3. Some of you are probably like, why are we talking about the Tesla Model 3? It's been out obviously for a while, at least news, has been out for a while, but production is going to start on the Model 3 very soon. And the reason we're discussing this is because I am considering getting a Model 3. I haven't put in my reservation yet. I have to take a trip out of town where I live to actually go test drive any Teslas at the closest Tesla dealership. So I have decided to just kind of recap what I think of the Tesla Model 3 and what I'm interested in and what I'm curious about. And this is just going to be a fun little discussion. First, I'd like to review the reveal. I'll probably just play the reveal here in the background as we're talking. I don't know how many of you guys have seen this so far, but the reason we're even reviewing something like this is a part of my channel is dedicated to just reviewing things that I use or am going to be using or is going to be a part of my life in terms of technology. So I don't particularly have any big interest in reviewing tech or gadgets that I don't use. I don't think that's my thing. I don't know, I'll leave that up to other tech reviewers. This is just stuff that I use. This is just for my personal documentation and just review and just opening up some discussion for, where I'm at and what I'm interested in. So let me pause that real quick. That's about 22 minutes long. Let me see if I can minimize the volume. There we go. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully the audio on the actual video isn't drowning anybody out, but yeah, Elon Musk is a huge inspiration to myself, and I think just the way he thinks and his philosophies on things, I think he's a very interesting person, at the very least. So I think as a businessman and as a technologist, I think his head is in the right place, and I do support his vision for renewable energy and being less dependent on fossil fuels and just making these renewable sources and making it accessible to as many people as possible. I definitely support that message. So they're discussing right now, obviously the scientific concern of CO2 emissions and pollution and whatever your stance is on that politically, we won't get into that, but I think everybody can kind of agree that high emissions and pollution is a bad thing, and that clean air and renewable and sustainable living is a good thing. So with that being said, that's a big reason why I'm considering a Tesla Model 3. So I guess really quick, kind of very briefly go over why I even considered an electric vehicle and why I considered the Model 3 versus like the Model X SUV or the Model S, the luxury sedan, or even the Roadster, obviously the sports convertible or sports coupe that they produced first. So while I was in college, I worked for a museum of science and technology, and the owner was a big-time philanthropist, and he actually had a Tesla Roadster, but he was also, I think at the time he was in his 80s, so he was still kind of mobile and driving around in his Roadster, and I always thought it was such an interesting vehicle. At the time, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't even know, I didn't know how powerful it was, how quick it was, or anything like that. I just thought it was an interesting looking vehicle. It was small, it was very compact. I knew it was electric, so I was just, you know, kind of curious by it. And then, you know, a few years went by, and I didn't really think anything of it. Um, and then I heard about the Tesla Model S, and when that was released, and you know, obviously with the price point that it was set at, uh, you know, once again, that kind of just bounced off me. I wasn't in the financial bracket enough to support or to afford one of these things. So I was probably like anybody else who was just kind of like, yeah, you know, it's that's a neat idea, but um, you know, I'm not going to be able to afford something like that. And even if I had that kind of money, I would probably get something different, right? And that was my kind of thought. So, you know, fast forward, you know, past the Model X, and then fast forward to the announcement of the Model 3. And um, you know, the announced price point that it was announced at, and you know, the colors and just the look of it, and just the concept of it, and the idea that, you know, we're getting away from fossil fuels, and you don't have to pay for gas, and you do have to charge it, but you can set that up at your home, and then like you can eventually roll in, you know, solar panels, integrating that from Solar City, who do solar panels in the actual roof tiles now, and then, you know, saving that energy in your um, Tesla power pack in your garage, and using that to power your vehicles and your house, and things like that. So I've always been a huge fan, and just a huge observer of home automation in general, and just kind of moving with technology, adapting with technology, and just, you know, appreciating um, the advancements in technology, but also being responsible. So for me, it was a little bit of, you know, not only an emotional purchase decision, big one at that. Any car is a big purchasing decision, but it's also, to me, a fairly logical one. So I just want to be a supporter, and I've always had the philosophy of, if people are doing something that you support, you know, I've always been a big proponent of kind of putting your money where your mouth is. If you want to support something and you're really serious about supporting it, then um, you know, there's no reason why you can't support them in their cause. Um, so it's very much like me justifying the spending of a monthly subscription for a game like Crowfall, right? So why would I even pay for a subscription to play a game like Crowfall? Is it, you know, the greatest game in the world? Sure, I'm sure to some people it might be, but you know, it may not be the prettiest, it may not be the most optimized, it may not be um, you know, the most advanced technology or anything like that. But I think just the idea that a team is doing something that you've always wanted, and that you support, um, is a big reason to financially support them. Just like artists and musicians, right? Like if you absolutely have a favorite band and they produce music, and you're sitting there and you're just illegally downloading their music, and they don't see any return on that kind of investment, how do you expect them to survive as a business, or as a performing group? You know what I mean? Like, um, I've you know, I'm an artist, so I mean, I know what it's like to start from the ground up, and to not have that kind of financial support that, you know, everybody claims to support you and all that jazz. But it's important to support groups and organizations that you really stand by. And Tesla is one of these organizations that I really like, and am intrigued with. I'm sure, as with a lot of people, especially our generation of young adults, and even our kids growing up, they're more and more exposed to these technologies. So my wife is in the market for an SUV first. Um, yeah, I know. We're talking about an SUV, and we're looking at an electric vehicle, right? But the reality is, I'm not gonna buy a Tesla Model X. Um, I'm not that baller, so that's not me. And I don't know if we'll get a chance to test drive one out eventually when we go to the Tesla dealership. But yeah, anyhow, my wife's in the market for an SUV. We're gonna get her one. She's always liked bigger vehicles, so I'm more of a coupe guy myself, but I obviously have a sedan right now for my wife and kids to transport them around. And so my next car, I'm in the market, and I've always done my research on everything that I invest in, but the past couple of years, I've been kind of mulling over the idea of, um, for the longest time, getting my dream car from high school, um, which is a pretty attainable vehicle. The Subaru WRX STI was my dream car since I was a kid, since the World Championship Rally, I think. And a huge fan of that. And I just had, I'm in the financial means now as an adult to purchase something like that. And it is practical enough to have my kids in and to still have fun. So that was the first consideration. And then I thought, after a while and circumstances change and your situation changes, as an adult, I think a lot of adults can understand that. That kind of changed. So I was just, I drive an Acura TL now, and the creature comforts of that from my first car, um, my very first car, which I worked on. I tuned myself and I modified it and took it out racing and everything like that on the track, and that was really really fun. I really enjoyed that car, and I literally drove that car until the engine gave out, and then instead of reinvesting my time and energy into a new kind of fixer upper, I got a newer Acura TL, and I I absolutely love that car for my situation. I mean, it's super nice, a super smooth ride, no problems. I've never had a problem with it in the years I've had it, and it was just a great family car. Super comfortable, very very nice interior. I mean, just luxurious on the outside and inside, and it was great. And it didn't cost me an arm and a leg like some of the larger luxury brands would have. So fast forward to present day. I've had that car for a few years, and um, now we're considering another kid, and are having our last kid. So we're gonna have three kids, and it's my wife and I, and we frankly, she wants to upgrade to have more space, and so I have to consider that too. I'll be hauling around potentially three kids and an adult, so I'm looking for something a little bit more spacious than my TL. So I think that's why I'm kind of looking at the Model 3 as a potential, um, but I'm not sure. I don't know how much bigger it's going to be. And from what I understand, the Model S is longer, and just generally larger, because it's a luxury sedan. And then this Model 3 seems to be more of a compact. Um, if I look at it that way, I'm still trying to rationalize whether or not it's worth getting right away. I think just a part of me is thinking, oh, I don't know if it's going to fit the space right. And then another part of me is like, well, um, if it is, do you want to be part of the group that first gets it? And I think the more than I think about it, I'm thinking like, looking at the Model S, I don't think I wanted to be part of the first group. And let's just hypothetically say I did, and I put my $1,000 down, and I reserve my Model 3, and it is what it is, and I wait till delivery. You know, Even after I get all that and decide all that, I probably won't receive my Model 3 till late 2018, potentially 2019, depending on how long they take to manufacture and ship everything. So by that time, they would have announced or have been manufacturing the Tesla Model 3 version, or the refresh version, the second generation. So what I'm thinking of is, I guess my two options are at this moment, for myself. I'm just gonna keep the Acura TL. I'm just about to pay that off, so it's not. I don't have any lingering debt. But once I do, my two options are wait for the second gen Model 3. So next year when they make the announcement, um, we'll figure that out then, or just save it and then get like a nicer luxury sedan. Um, I've always kind of really enjoyed the Mercedes-Benz C-Class sedans. They're just very nice sedans, and very good ratings. So it's just, you know, a practical luxury car that I've always kind of admired, in terms of their brand and their products. So those are my considerations. But without going on too much of a tangent about other cars, the Tesla 3 has remained kind of at the top of my list of, you know, wants, would like, and I think, you know, I would like to set this forward-thinking philosophy, and kind of set an example, I guess, for my kids. Huge proponent of kind of trying to do the right thing, and I think, you know, Tesla, their heart's in the right place, and I understand though that they're a business and that they need to be profitable in order to achieve like Elon Musk's ultimate vision of making, you know, sustainable energy technologies accessible to everyone. In order to do that, you have to be profitable. It's like any startup, right? And I mean, everybody can have great intentions, but at the end of the day, you have operating costs that you need to account for. So I think that's pretty exciting. And I remember watching this Tesla 3 reveal. This is from last year, by the way. If for those who have not seen it, I'm sorry. This is the last year's reveal, so almost a little bit over a month ago, or I'm sorry, a little bit over a year ago, in a couple weeks. In March of 2016, this reveal was, and it's April 2017. So we're over a year, and the whole reason I'm playing this is just kind of some reference visuals, and kind of just the build up to the Model 3, and then I have a few images to kind of go through and kind of talk about what I'm seeing, what I'm looking forward to. I remember seeing the Model 3 during this reveal, and I was so like blown away in terms of the styling. I just absolutely love the styling, and I'm usually pretty picky. I'm usually very picky about how, you know, cars look. I mean, because I'm a designer, so my attention to detail is very, very particular, and I think Elon Musk is the same way, where he is very, very particular about the details of the vehicles that they produce, which is great. And I'm seeing, you know, the front with the no grill, and just kind of this futuristic looking nose on the car, and then the headlights with the LEDs, and then you have, you know, just the technology of, you know, the dual motors, which I want. I live in the Midwest, so we get all four seasons. So I'm definitely getting, if I do get a Tesla, the all-wheel drive package, which is the dual motor package. That is just, you know, mandatory for me in my eyes. That I'm not. I've driven a rear-wheel drive car in the wintertime, and it's not something I ever want to do again. Let's just say it's not very fun. So all-wheel drive. My second at the top of the list is going to be the panoramic glass roof. I just think that, you know, as unique as the car is, it's just, to me, worth shelling out the extra money to have that kind of novelty feature in my car, especially if something I'm investing in like this and I want to have for a prolonged period of time. You don't see very many cars doing that, panoramic roofs, and the way that they're doing it and everything like that. So those are my top two features that I really like. And then I think the bonus, the cherry on top, with me being like really big into performance cars and just going fast in general in vehicles or anything like that, the fact that these electric vehicles can generate so much torque and just shoot you like a rocket while still being quiet and strictly using electricity was like amazing. So I've seen like Tesla drag racing videos, or the model, specifically the Model S, P100D drag racing videos, and I'm just so fascinated, so blown away. But yeah, relating to the Model 3, this is a cool reveal that I always enjoy these kind of cool reveal videos where they have the handle is something that'll be interesting. I love the handles and how they automatically come out in the Model S, but I'm curious how the Model 3 is gonna work. I know that they don't plan on doing any type of extra electronic sensors for at least the first gen of the Model 3, so they're going to have some type of like reverse hinge type of mechanic in their doorway. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, so the three colors that they revealed were this like orange, like the signature red Tesla, the Tesla red, and then they have this matte black, which is cool. I know some people are really into the matte finish, and then they have the silver, and it's so funny because my current car is silver, and I just love that silver. I love the way that it looks. I love the way that the stock rims look on that silver. I like the way that, you know, I don't know. I just like everything about that silver one. Just that's like my preference. That's just what I like, and it just looks so good. And it's got the black accents for, you know, the glass and everything like that. But the red one looks really, really sweet too. But red's never really been my color, especially for vehicles, or specifically for vehicles, I should say. I like red as a color, but for me, as far as in terms of vehicles, I've always really liked the more neutral colors, the grays and the gunmetals and shades like that. So I love that, and just seeing the glass roof and everything. And I don't know how I feel about that middle instrument, just an individual instrument like that. That's my one gripe, I think, or one area of concern slash curiosity would be, how would a user kind of monitor all of their, you know, important instruments and information on there. And I have seen the most recent production model iteration, and I have seen a kind of leak video of how they're going to apply these the interface for the user, and I have faith that they'll figure it out and that they'll do it right. And if they don't do it right, they'll get feedback from their users and they'll fix it. That's what's great about Tesla, and that's probably the biggest reason why I am willing to wait for the second gen Model 3, because if you look at the Model S, and the first gen was just like, it was great, it was like so hyped up, and then like it was buggy, because the Tesla is a piece of technology. That's why I'm not reviewing, but that's why we're discussing this. It's a piece of technology. It's not, I don't think it's like, you know, a mechanical automobile, you know, like your traditional automobiles. It's still got mechanical components, but it's, to me, a big piece of technology. It'll get better as the software improves, and, you know, it's got hardware, and it's actually, you know, each generation after that is improving upon the previous generation. It's not just like, oh, we're adding a few bells and whistles. Same drivetrain and everything, you know, like the SUV my wife wants to get, you know, I've asked them, like, you know, what is the spec differences between, you know, previous year and the year before that and then the current year, and they have minor differences, right? It's just trim differences and how they're reshuffling their packages or what they're offering for sales, like that varies. But with the Tesla, it's a matter of, you know, look at the Model S. The first gen has that kind of fish grill, which I wasn't a fan of, by the way. Did not like that. And then the second gen, they call it the refreshed edition of the Model S. That one, with the very thin, small opening for the frunk, I think that looks fantastic on the Model S. Now there's talks about whether that little opening, they call it the mustache, the Tesla mustache, is going to be on the Model 3, and this concept doesn't show that. But I'm hoping that it doesn't, because I don't really care for any openings in the front. Just aerodynamically, it doesn't make sense. Practically, to me, it doesn't really make sense. But I love the smooth front end of this concept, which is awesome. So that's the video. I wanted to show that and kind of how they revealed that. And then I think if you watch like the actual full video, they go on to take it outside and go for a test drive, and they just kind of hit the gas a little bit down like a quarter-mile strip or something like that, and then they swing back, just to kind of give people a sense of the power and the interior and the interface and the dashboard and the materials and the roof and the ride, everything like that. So these images, some of them were from the promotional photo shoot that Tesla did, and some of these are very recent. No, I should say this. One that's very recent, and then a couple interior and a roof top shots of the panoramic glass that I'm interested in. So I just wanted to go over this with you guys and kind of discuss what I'm excited for this vehicle, right? So let's start with this one. This being the most recent, I think, image. This is the refreshed, or no, I'm sorry, the production model, which means this was one of the more recent images that was leaked of the black color. They didn't show the gloss black that they offer on their Model S, but this is for the Model 3. And you can see that the front here is still got that no grill look that I really like, but I know that they've modified the aerodynamics just a tiny bit. If you look at the nose of this, it's kind of more angular to look a little bit more aggressive and less snub nose than I think the previous one. So if you look at this area here, this curvature, what they did was they actually brought that forward, and so it lowered the kind of angular cut of this to be a little bit more aerodynamic, I believe. But as far as I know, the actual trim, excuse me, like the silver trimming here around the window that wasn't in the actual concept reveal, they've added, and I think that's just a nice touch for the lines of the vehicle, and I believe we see that in the Model S as well. I believe the production model, the base package will come with 18-inch tires and not 20s. I think what we're seeing here are 20s, and even in the concept are 20s. So like the ones that they showed in the demo, like during the last video we just watched, they usually deck those out right to the max because they want people to see, and it's a complete marketing decision, because they always do that. All manufacturers and car makers will do that. They'll always deck out their vehicles for show. It's they're showing their best. And you can kind of see they got the lug nut covers on the wheels here, and it is a shorter, obviously you got kind of this like hatchback like trunk here, which I know some people were kind of concerned about, but in terms of space and how much trunk space they'll have. But I absolutely love just how this car is coming out. I'm so excited to try it out. I hope that it kind of lives up to my expectations, and my expectations aren't, I'm sure, as high as some other people's. So I've never owned a Tesla. I haven't even been in the Model S or Model X yet. Not yet. I will. Hopefully within a month or two here, we'll be making a trip to the Tesla dealership and trying that out. So I'll have a little bit of a better idea of what materials Tesla's using and how their interiors feel. And I know they're kind of a startup like tech automobile, and of course like Elon Musk has got his hands in Solar City and what's his rocket company called? SpaceX. Sorry, I kind of spaced out. See what I did there? Anyhow, let's go through the pictures here. This is the front of the photo shoot version. So the previous iteration of this design, this is the front. Absolutely love the headlights. Absolutely love the color. Absolutely loved the glass roof. Love the safety promises that they're making with these Teslas being safe. That's very important for me as a family man, obviously. But not only that, I've always taken really good precautions with safety when it comes to racing vehicles and fixing vehicles, and just being responsible with that. I mean, you can always have fun with your vehicles, but just be safe. And I've always, I teach my son that, just you're allowed to have fun with your vehicles. Just be safe and be responsible with them, right? The interior is very, very minimal. I have mixed feelings about that. I am minimal in design preference when it comes to certain things, and at other times, like a vehicle, I think the features and the amenities and the feel, the textures and the materials of the vehicle is proportionate to how much you're paying. Okay. So I understand that this car is a lot more technologically advanced than some other cars. So some of the features in here that I wonder how they're going to price that out or tier that out in terms of autonomous driving. So I know they have autopilot 2.0 or 2.1 right now. I don't know the exact one, but I know it's at the very least 2.0, and it'll only get better as they're improving the sensors and the software for all that stuff. So that's actually very exciting. So I think that'll freak out my wife and my family in general, when we start seeing people driving with no hands and just letting the car completely drive itself. I think that's amazing. And there are videos on that out on YouTube for those who are interested in something like that. But the single screen is what I'm concerned about. I know that in the most recent iteration, they have kind of like a left navigation panel on this tablet, and that's where all the important instruments are, I believe. And then they have like a good, 2/3 of the screen to the right is a navigation panel, or your main interactive infotainment, they call it, center, that you'll see on a lot of like nav touch screens in the newer cars. You'll see that. But they do have a ton of space. That's because since you are dealing with an engine the size of a watermelon, you can fit that in and kind of have enough leg room for yourself and for your guests. But not only that, like the materials they're using, and look at the dashboard, there's no traditional gauges or displays or anything like that. I believe this is just a vent up in the front of the vehicle. But this is the concept model. This isn't the production model that we haven't seen a lot of interior production. So I'd be curious on what changed, if anything, from the interior. So this is kind of a better perspective of the 3/4 view of what the concept model looked like, and it's pretty damn close. I mean, okay, so here's a silver trim that they did have in the concept. I was wrong. I just couldn't tell with the silver. But I just love the angles and how aerodynamic and practical in terms of design this is. It's just so, I like it. Just the details, the lines, the angles. I just absolutely love it. So different too. And we live over here, and there's a few Model S's that live by us, and I mean, you can pick a Model S out from the crowd any day. Just the lights that drive past, and I'll catch it out of my peripherals when I'm driving, and I just immediately tell my son, "Oh my gosh, Tesla, Model S," and then he'll look and he'll spot it right away too. So it is very noticeable. It's a very unique looking vehicle. Let's take a look at this. So we have the panoramic glass, which is my second favorite. So this wraps all the way to the front. Almost a continuous thing. Obviously you have your pillars up top, I believe your A-pillar, for safety, right, for structural integrity, but for the most part you're driving, and I live in the Midwest. We've got a lot of open fields, clear blue skies. When I drive up north to our cabin, or a buddy's cabin, it's just so many beautiful scenes. You could, like landscape scenery you pass by, and even on road trips it'd be just fantastic to have this. I mean, it's just out of this world. Being able to see outside your roof like that is just unreal to me. So I'm still waiting to see how much it's going to cost. Within reason, if it is within reason and financially reasonable cost, I will select this if I can. But obviously the performance and the safety features come first. But this is definitely more of a vanity slash experience feature that I want, more than a lot of the other ones. Autonomous driving is cool, but I don't know if I need that in my first electric vehicle, to be honest with you. I'm just not used to it, I guess. Maybe down the road, right? Once I get a little used to it, I'm okay with having some experience with autonomous driving, but I absolutely don't know if I'm ready mentally for my car to come pick me up and to drop me off and stuff like that. That's fantastic on paper, but I think it'll take some getting used to for me. But I'm completely all for that. I'm all for that. So don't get me wrong. Excuse me. Let me get a drink here. Oh. But yeah, so this is the roof. See clearly people's inside, and this is the most recent versions. I'm excited to see if Tesla's going to be, or when they're going to be making the what do they call it? The configurator. Sorry, I was looking for the right word. Their online configurator through their actual store, Tesla.com. I know you can configure your own Model S's and X's and order them and have them delivered to your dealer, and then you pick it up over there or whatever. They haven't made it available yet for the Model 3. Let me, now before I confirm that 100%, let me check, because I haven't checked in a bit, and now they're actually just recently been leaks of their production models. So let's see. They do have the Model 3 up, but there's no configurator yet. Yeah, they don't have configurator yet, but the actual specs for the Model 3 that they have on their website as of right now is they're promising 215 miles of range per charge. They said it goes 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, which is pretty quick for an entry level like sedan. Now, with a larger battery, you have battery options, so that'll increase the power output of your vehicle, which would cut down on 0 to 60 times, if that's important to you. Some people just like to go really, really quick, or say that they have, you know, the P100D, the fastest production sedan in the world, right? And then this says seating for 5 adults. Theoretically, I mean, I'm gonna trust them on it. This is probably the most important point for me. I need to be able to seat 5 adults, because I'm going to treat my baby seats, 2 of them, and my older son as an adult. Even though, I mean, my older son he's still young, he's still a little kid, but he's got quite an age gap between him and my current baby right now. But you know, I have to kind of plan and anticipate that this car will last me until he gets a car, you know, at the very least. And he won't need me to shuttle him around everywhere. But in the meantime, I'm kind of just planning for it being able to seat 5 adults. Now, if I find out that the Model 3 can't seat 5 adults comfortably, that may very well be a deal breaker, and it'll be a sad day for me if I find out, oh, well, we can probably squeeze in 2 baby seats, and you know, half a person after the baby seats. It's probably gonna be a deal breaker. I don't, and that'll be sad, but it is what it is, you know. And maybe we can consider a used Model S versus, or a pre-owned Model S versus a brand new Model 3, and I still have that on the table. That is still an option, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't know, you know, in terms of an investment, automotive investment, if this is like the best investment versus a like pre-owned Model S, and what the resale value is, you know, because there's not a lot of data to support previous models, and not a lot. And you know, like I can't go up and look up in Consumer Reports and see, oh, you know, how is this rated over 10-15 years? How have these vehicles been rated, or over the last few decades, you know, how have these vehicles performed and been rated and resold? I can't look at stuff like that, because there really isn't that kind of data to support any of these Teslas just yet. They're all relatively new, right? So with that being said, I kind of have, you know, put my faith in what Elon Musk and Tesla has promised and what they're delivering on, and so far they have been really good about that. You know, barring some minor like manufacturing delays and stuff like that, and missing some deadlines. But if they typically give you numbers, they're typically being very conservative with those numbers just to over deliver, which I support 100%. You know, and I think that was a current trend, or that's been the case with previous models and vehicles they've produced. So I know that they've said, you know, this will get 215 range, but then like when it's manufactured and produced, it really gets like 220 or 225 or 230 range, and everybody's happy because they promised a lower number and they delivered a higher number. So I think that's a good philosophy and good route to take. It's designed to achieve a 5-star safety rating. Awesome. Also very important, because it's a family vehicle, and as long as I have all-wheel drive and it has a really good safety rating, and it looks awesome and different, and it's environmentally friendly, then awesome. That's amazing. It has autopilot hardware. This is really cool. I don't know, out of I don't know. I'm very kind of skeptical still about this autopilot technology hardware, and I have to. It's something I have to experience. It's not something that I trust completely just watching videos or listening to other people's testimony. It's just something you have to experience, right? So I'm going to hold my thoughts and opinions on that until I actually get to test it. Supercharging. Now they're not talking about a supercharger for your drivetrain. They're talking about charging your car with the electric part. Supercharging refers to like an accelerated charging rate of um, refueling your vehicle. So, and you can do that from home. I mean, you just need to make some modifications to your um, power supply at home, and once you get that set up, you can charge it at home. But they're talking about maybe their supercharging network, Tesla's quote unquote supercharging network, where they have specific Tesla chargers that are built specifically. I shouldn't say specifically for Teslas, because I'm not quite sure if other electric vehicles can use theirs, but I know that theirs, they give an adapter to be used by other for other electric stations. So it's not like I have to drive to just a Tesla supercharging station to charge my car. There are actually a lot more electrical charging ports all around my town, and I live in a smaller. I wouldn't say smaller town. I live in a an average sized town. I don't think it's a huge. It's not a huge metropolitan, but it's not a small town or village. It's a city. So we have, I believe there's a map tool that you can search uh, for, and it's like Google Maps, except it'll show you where all the electrical charging stations are in your area. And you'll be surprised, there's a ton more than you think. So people are always freaked out, right, with electric vehicles, my wife included. My kids and my in-laws and my parents are always like, well, what are you going to do when you run out of electricity? It's just like, well, what are you going to do when you run out of gas in your car? And like, yeah, but you can get gas at more convenient locations. And I agree with that. I do. But I think it kind of put my mind at ease when I actually saw how many electric charging stations there are. And I'm sure you just have to be a little bit more aware of your power usage and your car's range, right? And I think that's called range anxiety. People who are freaked out by that, the thought of, oh my God, I'm going to run out of electricity. Well, it's kind of like your cell phone. You use it. What does your phone do when you're low battery? It warns you at 15%, right? And you're like, oh shoot. In your mind, you're like, I'm low battery. I better start looking for a charger, or I better plan ahead. I better turn my phone off. I better conserve energy, something like that. Um, you have to adapt to that situation. It's the same with your car, and then when your phone gets what, 5%, it dings you again, or 10%, however you have it set on your phone. It dings you again, and it warns you again, hey, now you're really low. Be very, very careful, or your phone's going to turn off, And then even phones now have low energy consumption mode, where it strips your phone of like these, extra features and extends your battery life. I don't see why vehicles can't have that. Uh, Anyways, I'm confident they're going to have some safety catches, so that you don't find yourself in that situation. I think that would just be poor business if you just hear about. And I honestly, out of all the Tesla model owners, I haven't once seen a post through the subreddit or through any of the YouTube channels of people complaining about, oh, my car died because it ran out of electricity in the middle of the road. Like, I just haven't heard of that. I just haven't heard people being like, oh, well, I totally forgot to monitor my car, and my car didn't tell me that it was running low on, like your car, your fossil cars, like run, they call them fossil cars. Your fossil cars, your ICE cars, internal combustion engine cars, will have indicators that tell you, hey, you're low on fuel. Go get more fuel. There's no reason to believe that your electric vehicle won't behave the same way, using different fuel, of course. So yeah, that's that. They have the starting price before incentives at 35,000. I don't know if I'm gonna even qualify for incentives by the time I buy. There's going to be a shit ton of Model 3s sold and on the road. So enough for me not to, I mean, I may get a tiny incentive, but I'm really not going to factor that in. I'm just going to anticipate paying that full base starting price. And the base starting price doesn't get you any of the extra stuff like, all-wheel drive or dual motor. It doesn't get you the panoramic glass. I'm already mentally preparing for, a price point of at least $10,000 more than that starting price for the two features that I want. If not more. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 10 to 15,000, depending on how they charge for the panoramic glass feature, and then how much extra the extra motor is going to be for all-wheel drive feature. And then that's not even including all the little bells and whistles and extras and shit like that you want to configure into your car, right? You ever watch somebody put together a computer or anything that they really like putting together a shopping cart of things? Like, have you ever seen them? Just like, how many people actually have self-control and be like, I actually only really want dual motors on my Tesla. Yeah, that's all I really. And some people are, I mean, very few people are like that. If you had the means and you could afford it, I mean, most people are going to be, yeah, I want to dual motors, or maybe the panoramic glass is too much for me. Maybe I don't want to pay 5,000-6,000 for that. Maybe instead of that, the 5,000-6,000 I'm gonna use for interior creature comforts. I'm gonna get that extra, the better material for my seats. I'm going to get the, trim that I want, the texture trim that I want for the interior. Maybe I want to have a remote starter, or I want to have the summon feature in my car. I don't know if they're going to include that or have that ready, but they do have something like that planned. Or maybe I want larger rims, or maybe I want this special color, the limited edition color, or whatever they offer. But that's, that'll be interesting to see. That's why I'm excited to get this configurator up and live when they reveal that. I'm going to probably be one of the first ones on their website, just kind of clicking away, and that's something I'll probably create a video on, because this is something that I am considering in real life, quote unquote, in real life. This isn't something I'm just, I'm gonna review the Model 3 a few years late or a year late because it's cool. No, it's something I'm gonna I'm just discussing with people, and thinking out loud and trying to rationalize my purchase decision. This is a huge purchase. I mean, I don't care how rich you are. I mean, you're spending $30,000 to $50,000 on anything. That's a huge purchase. I read in John Bogle's financial book that outside of a house, your car is probably the single biggest rotating investment debt that people have, and it's true. Outside of your house, your biggest purchases cumulatively is your car. So cars, because people typically purchase a new car every 5 to 7 years, right? According to that financial book and the stats. But with that being said, yeah, I just thought I'd switch it up. I do have more Crowfall content coming for those who are just tuned in to get some bits of information. But I do appreciate everybody kind of tuning in and checking out a wide range of my videos. I've reviewed some of my PC peripherals before. This is reviewing a hypothetical next car for myself and just thinking through this piece of technology, which will be great. And yeah, tune in for more Crowfall videos and more tech videos and even more design videos. I appreciate every single one of you guys for your comments, views, feedback, or no feedback, maybe just viewing, maybe just stopping by, or any suggestions you guys provide. Feel free to leave those in the comments again. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. And I should be on tonight. And right now I'm streaming. It is in the afternoon. I had some time to kind of stream while the kids are preoccupied and the wife's out at a baby shower. So yeah, later tonight, once I get home from some family business, I'll probably be streaming some Crowfall tonight and probably covering another archetype. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. And yeah, take care. Peace out.